Hi everyone. Today I want to share with you guys my ground shaker build. For this skill I use with Rehan Seething Silhouette. This skill, it causes area damage at your place when cast. It also will consume a demolisher charge every 3 seconds to create a bigger fissure and deal massive damage. Later in the game, we will use ground shaker frequent quake support to modify this skill's behavior, enabling it to continuously trigger every time it consumes a demolisher charge, providing constant damage uptime beyond the initial explosion in its basic state. Right now, I've pushed this build to around 20 billion damage and defeated Traveler in time mark 8. With this level of damage, it can comfortably handle map tier 8.2. The skill offers good coverage for both clearing and bossing. Here we have the main skill link with willpower, very useful for boss fight, where we stand still most of the time when attacking. Other is critical damage support. We constant crit all the time, so the basic damage boost support. Next is ground shaker frequent quake support. It changes the skill behavior to similar to Terra's skill when consumed demolisher charge. Damage an area every half second for a total of 3 more hits per explosion. This is so good for bossing where we cast at 1 and have time to move around while it keeps damaging boss. This support is around 10 to 20 FE at the time I build this skill. Now at later stage of the game time, it is quite expensive. So at early stage, a guy could use normal skill link with hardened support or melee knockback support for additional damage. Steamroll support have the highest damage additional, and since we need to wait for demolisher charge to recharge, so the skill can bring out at maximum output, therefore lower attack speeds is not a major issue for us. Quick return for additional damage, and more uptime with demolisher charge cooldown. Curse, we use timid link with activation medium demolisher because we doing only hit damage, and this medium is very cheap, only 1 FE. Blink is for traveling around and avoid dangerous situation. Raging Warcry and Bull's Rage for additional damage link with activation medium demolisher for cheap and increased duration. Passive skill we use Fearless, weapon amplification, domain expansion, and acuteness focus, all for more melee and physical damage. Soul Candle is quite expensive. If you can afford it, then look for Rebirth Talent. And other for damage with some useful modifiers. Talent, we will choose God of Might, Onslaughter, Lich, and Ranger. God of Might. At the start, we choose all nodes in God of Might that focus on damage, attack speed, critical strike, and some life and regeneration. These nodes also include movement speed, which helps speed up our act runs. For the first core talent, we pick Tenacity for consistent defense, which is always needed. Elimination is only useful during boss fights, especially against Traveler in T8. Momentum is decent, but I dislike the delay it introduces, and later on, we need to invest more into defenses anyway. For the second core talent, we choose Great Strength to focus on damage. Hidden Mastery is good for act runs, but becomes a drawback in the late game due to the lack of critical strike. With Judgment, we have another way to generate paralysis, either through a pet or by linking grudge support with a Magus. If those options aren't available, this talent still works well for generating paralysis. With Onslaught, since we use a two-handed weapon, it provides great damage synergy. It grants both additional damage and damage reduction through its nodes. For our core talent, we use Sweep for its high damage and increased skill area, which helps with map clearing. We could also use Well Matched, especially in boss fights, as it offers similar damage output. Focus Strike is quite weak and requires specific conditions, so it's not recommended. Sacrifice is better damage, but it strips us of a layer of defense. For Lich, we need this skill tree primarily for seal mana compensation and its core talent, Off the Beaten Track, which also helps with aura mana management. This allows us to activate all 3 auras with a little help from mana compensation provided by the Divinity Slate. The last one is Ranger, which focuses purely on damage and critical nodes to further boost our DPS. Impending is the only core talent in this tree that offers the highest damage output. With Slate, We have Pedigree of God with automatic upgrade core talent. This provides both offensive and defensive benefits, and it frees up a slot from hardened support in the main skill, allowing us to use other damage supports. So pick the cheapest on the trade house with some usable stats as you see fit. We need a Goddess of Knowledge's divinity with sealed mana compensation combined with the Lich Tree, so we could active all 3 aura using only mana. For the second talent, you can choose a legendary one that offers either damage or defense, like this one. For the remaining slate, I chose a legendary node that grants 10% additional damage for two-handed weapons, paired with another defensive legendary or medium damage talent. Since I primarily use armor gear and have 5 tenacity blessings, I pair these 2 nodes for regeneration and improved resistance scaling. For items, before T7 Traveler, we use a rare helmet stats focus on damage, strength, life, and resistance. Body armor, we use a unique chest piece Furious Man's Body with quick return, corroded to T0. This setup frees up a support slot in the main skill link, allowing us to add melee knockback support or added physical damage. Amulet, we will use ownerless, which is quite common during act runs and provides solid universal stats. If possible, purchase Illusory Ocean Silk, Iron Rain type from the trade house. It offers significant damage and applies curse on hit. The conversion of erosion damage taken also synergizes well with our build, since we rely on armor for defense and benefit from reduced physical damage taken via the Onslaught tree. Gloves, we choose rare gloves with added damage, armor or life, critical strike chance, and resistance. Since I run Sandlord, I frequently obtain enchanted blending belts. Look for belts with bonuses like two-handed additional damage, +1 to attack skills or armor penetration. Afterward, craft added damage, strength, life, and resistance onto it. Boots, we use resolution steps for the rebirth effect. All other stats contribute to our defense, and this boots also offer good movement speed. Ring, we use rare ring with similar stats to the helmet and gloves, focusing on resistance, damage, and life. Weapon this season features a sequence mechanic, so look for a basic weapon with bonuses like +20 to all stats, additional weapon damage, or armor penetration. Then craft strength, added physical damage, gear physical damage, attack speed, increased physical damage, and life regain. Life regain is chosen here because at this gear level, we don't have better options for this slot. We've already used 2 advanced prefixes and only need physical damage. For farming Time Mark 8 map and beating T8 Traveler, our gear will upgrade to this. Helmet, we use Fool's Crown. It provides significant physical damage, strength, and armor for defense. The best outcome is having both these key modifiers corroded to tier 0. A tip for late game that you should sell corroded every pieces of upgrade unique that have high price and a familiar nexus. The worst outcome that you have an upgrade like this, while if lucky, you might struck gold. For body armor, we use Flaming Evil to scale fire resistance into critical damage. Aim to corrode the relevant modifier to T0 for optimal scaling. Amulet, we equip Furious Man's Loud Song. It adds straight additional damage to your skills via Demolisher Charge, along with some life and resistance. If possible, look for one with both these modifier corroded. Glove will be our biggest upgrade. It had a lot of additional damage to two-hand weapon, plus attack speed and critical chance. If your budget allows, try to corroded these 2 modifier to T0. It will be either too much damage or fortune. Belt, we use Dawn Break, which is associated with strength stats. Blending is expensive, so start with armor penetration for a cheaper option. Focus on getting the strength modifier corroded if possible. Boots, we use rare boots to cap your resistances. Look for ones with +1 to physical skills on the trade market, then craft the remaining affixes. Ring is similar to T7 gear, with a chance to roll a tier 1 modifier. Weapon will follow the same sequence and stats as your T7 weapon, but upgrade to all T1 modifier and aim for a dream affix like added physical damage or lucky crit. Later with priceless gear, we will have option to add more physical damage in prefix and demolish your charge cooldown and suffix. Hero trait, we use memory with base stats as strength, life, and attack speed. Pair with some minor stats as armor, skill area, and damage. For origin slot, we will spec into Fury's Onslaught for more damage. Ritual of Offering give us auto attack from Seething Spirit, which is good for mobile playing, but it get us reduced movement speed. This will reduce our farming time and map. Discipline slot. We use Growing Anger for permanent max rage uptime. For progress slot, we will use Rage Infusion for more damage, as Split Form is only used for life stacking. Last but not least is the pet setup. I use 2 legendary attack pets and 1 defensive pet. This pet provides a chance to deal double damage, which not only boosts our overall damage output, but also synergizes with the Growing Anger trait to regenerate rage, especially in the early stages. Its ultimate ability also grants 20% increased attack speed during boss fights. The second attack pet contributes general damage and has the ability to inflict paralysis. The defensive pet is used for overall survivability. If you don't have these legendary pets, you can substitute them with pets of the same modifiers from lower rarity or normal tiers. However, this will reduce your damage output, defensive capabilities, and special effects like inflicting paralysis. That's all for my build this season. I wanted to push into Profound, but it takes too much time, so I'll stop at Traver T8 and Time Mark 8.2. If you found this video entertaining and helpful, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.